July 29, 1981, St. Paul's Cathedral. 750 million people around the globe are watching. It was billed as a fairy tale wedding, a story for the ages. But fairy tales don't prepare you for the real weight of a crown. It all started on February 24th, 1981. Buckingham Palace announced the engagement of Prince Charles to Lady Diana Spencer. She was just 19. He was 32 and the heir to the British throne. The sapphire and diamond engagement ring she chose herself instantly became iconic, a small break from the tradition of custom royal designs. For a Britain facing tough economic times, the news was a burst of sunshine. The country embraced the romance. Diana, appearing shy and soft-spoken in interviews, was a stark contrast to the formal image of the monarchy. People saw a vulnerability and a warmth they could connect with. Behind the scenes, life became a whirlwind for Diana. Protocol training, security briefings, dress fittings, and constant public appearances. The change from private citizen to future Princess of Wales was fast and absolute. This engagement turned Diana into the most photographed woman on the planet. Paparazzi camped outside her London flat. Newspapers documented her every move, analyzing her clothes, her body language, her readiness to be a royal. This level of scrutiny was completely new for a royal bride. Diana later admitted she felt incredibly isolated and overwhelmed. Royal life demanded a level of emotional control and restraint that was hard for anyone, let alone a young woman still finding her own voice. The age gap and their different personalities were whispered about in media circles, but publicly, the fairy tale story held strong. The monarchy needed continuity and the public wanted a dream. Diana was expected to deliver both. And then came the wedding day. On July 29, 1981, Diana rode to St. Paul's Cathedral in a glass coach, her magnificent ivory silk taffeta gown filling the entire carriage. The dress, designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel, had a 25-foot train, the longest in royal wedding history. Inside the cathedral, 3,500 guests waited. Millions more lined the streets of London. As she stepped out of the coach, the world held its breath. The ceremony was filled with centuries of royal tradition. Vows were exchanged. At just 20 years old, Diana became Her Royal Highness the Princess of Wales. The famous kiss on the Buckingham Palace balcony sealed the image of a perfect, modern fairy tale for the entire world to see. But the ceremony wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of a life under a microscope. After the global celebration, reality set in. The royal schedule was relentless. Every public engagement choreographed down to the minute. But Diana's natural instinct was for spontaneity and human connection. She would kneel to speak to children instead of standing over them. She would linger in conversations, making real eye contact. These moments made the public adore her, but they also disrupted the traditional distance of the monarchy. Privately, the marriage faced challenges from the start. The immense pressure, the constant public gaze, and unresolved personal issues weighed heavily on them. Diana later spoke about feeling unsupported in those early years. The palace culture prioritized duty above all else, leaving little room for personal vulnerability. At just 21, she was juggling global fame, ancient tradition, and her own personal journey. Everything changed again in June 1982, where Prince William was born. Followed by Prince Harry in September 1984, motherhood transformed Diana's public image. She was a hands-on mom, more involved than previous royal generations. She took her sons on trips, went to their school events, and always emphasized emotional openness. The public loved this modern approach. Soon, Diana's popularity began to eclipse that of her husband. Her relatability, her fashion sense, and the clear love she had for her children created a powerful bond with people everywhere. But this immense popularity also intensified the media frenzy and the tensions within the palace. By the mid-1980s, the cracks in the fairy tale started to show. Tabloids began to speculate about marital problems. In public, you could sometimes see the emotional distance between Charles and Diana. She was struggling, privately, with the immense pressure and the rigid royal structure. The perfect story was beginning to fracture, but instead of retreating, Diana began to evolve. She poured her energy into humanitarian work, finding a new sense of purpose beyond her ceremonial duties. This shift would define the next, and most powerful, chapter of her life. This story is all about contrast, the spectacular wedding versus the silence behind palace walls, the public image of perfection versus the private reality of a young woman trying to adapt. Princess Diana didn't enter the royal family as a finished icon. She entered as a young woman learning to navigate extraordinary pressures. The world saw Fairytale, But Diana was just beginning to understand that real influence didn't come from a ceremony. It came from authenticity, and that authenticity would eventually change the monarchy forever. Thanks for watching.